Started recording.
Oh, my bad. Let me do mine. Mic check, mic check. All right.
Whew. Okay, 5 seconds. I'll be right back.
One. Are we live? I can't tell.
We should be.
All right, I think we are. All right, so
We are.
All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Some Sort of Gaming podcast. Today is, what is it? The 27th of January. I said that backwards in American terms. 2021. This is our second live show. We're going to be talking about. Wait, what the? Where's my topics? Oh, yeah, here
What
it
are
is.
we
We're gonna
talking about, Sharpie?
We're gonna be talking about like Capcom stuff and content like responsibilities and FGC and even what Gabe Newell's been up to.
You know,
But before,
adult stuff.
yeah, pretty much all adult stuff in the gaming industry. Anyways, so before we all start, I have LadyInfamous, UnsheathedP, and Zeldrick here with me. I'm JSharpie. I will be your host for this for today. What we're gonna do, we're gonna start rotating our hosts every week. But before we get all started, LadyInfamous, how is everything with you this past week and a half?
Ooh, interesting actually. I played a few. I played a few games. I finished Titanfall 2 yesterday, and I really enjoyed it. I felt BT. I don't know. It was just, I guess, I don't know. It was something about BT's. Whoever written him, they did a really good job. It was short. I didn't know it was gonna be that short, but 2 streams, I think. No, it was like I did like 2 video sittings and 1 stream, and I was done. Also I played some Golden Sun. I can't wait to go back. I might play it later, but it felt good to like just explore a game that I haven't played in a long time. So I'm good off that. I also played Gears 5, Highbusters DLC. And I don't know, man, that shit looking clean on my Xbox Series X. I'm telling you. Excuse me. I'm playing with Delilah and El Boogie, right? It's 3-person online multiplayer expansion to the game, and I like it. I'm enjoying it. Been playing some Modern Warfare on the side for something secret special or special secret. Hopefully by next week I can be able to talk more about it. And let me see, last and not least, I played some Rogue Company. I had fun. I guess with Rogue Company and those type of games, it is so much better to play with a group of friends versus playing random. So I don't think I did anything else this week. I've been chilling a lot this week compared to like the week. Trust me, I've been chilling. But I did put some games in. What about you, Zeldrick? What you been doing?
So my week has been kind of dry, staunched. I haven't been able to stream because I fucking hit the 1 terabyte of data at my household again, and fucking so I haven't been able to stream. Thanks, Comcast. But the other so like I in an initiative to like keeping up with shows and stuff. It's not really gaming related, but I feel like it's like worth noting because as I've said on the podcast, I don't watch that many movies and shows. I have I finished Kingdom, which was really, really good. Basis being that it's a set in ancient Korea, and they have to deal with their monarchy, and then at the same time zombies. So after that, I started watching Medical Police. Fucking shit's hilarious. I had no idea it was gonna be laughing nonstop. I'm halfway through the season. And I've never stopped laughing. It's so good. And when I because it's derived from some show that's on Adult Swim, Children's Hospital, and like anytime that I've seen any of that, I tune out like after 30 seconds. It's like not interesting to me, and it doesn't grasp me like at all. So after watching this, I have to force myself to watch an episode to see if it actually really does hold up or if it's completely different set of writers. But Medical Police, I highly recommend that. But that's all like the sort of movies or TV shows that I started watching. Gaming wise, I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey a little bit. I actually stopped playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey as soon as I hit the Atlantis DLC because I was like, oh man, this would be really good to stream because it's actually interesting now. I played some Destiny 2, did my grind and stuff. I finished a couple of catalysts of for my guns, which are just like just upgrades for some of your exotic weapons. Played more Bayonetta hard mode, and it's still difficult as hell for me. I'm like trying to like master it, going through this like levels over and over again. What else? My Final Fantasy 14, again, my usual. Keep going back to it. I've pretty much completely geared up with tomestones with like weekly currency with what I can get for my Dragoon and Samurai. And so now it's just I have to do raids to get the rest of the gear before upgrading it. And then as far as for farming Seed of Sacrifice hard mode extreme, shit's a nightmare. Random groups trying to pull in people. One day it was atrocious. The next day it was like we kept losing people, but we got some good ones. We kept losing people, got some good ones, and it's just we need a break, man. we this has now been like 2 or 3 days where we haven't seen a drop for the mount. So it's just like fucking we can't keep doing this without any results. The results being more than just we keep clearing it. So this week we're going to focus on birds, on getting Heaven's Ward stuff and dog mounts Thursday and Saturday from Stormblood expansion. After that, honestly, just no. Oh, actually, last thing I'll say, because I finally beat Hades with every single weapon once now. And that was my gambit, my whole runaround of what I wanted to do before really completing the story. And you get Master of Arms achievement, but it's more than that. It's more about like getting a full experience of like how these weapons work and everything. And it's weird because when you play Hades, you have to like play in a specific play style. So like if you play like some sort of isometric action game, then it's like you either gravitate towards a ranged or you gravitate towards a berserker or something like that, or a quick guy. But like as soon as I got into it, I was just like, I just want to run in and then be really fast and punch shit all the time and just get in, get out, get in, get out. And so like the fist weapon really spoke to me. And then with a specific upgrade, the spear spoke to me. And the last weapons I beat it with was with the bow and arrow and the shield. Bow and arrow fucking sucks. I hate it. But then again, I probably used like the wrong mod for it. Because like you can modify each one of your weapons to like a different form with your Titan blood. And so the shield was actually a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. And you can Captain America that shit, throw your shield, it just bounces off everybody. So that was a lot of fun. But after doing all that, so at this point, I've beaten Hades 6 times already. And
Nice.
So if anybody knows anything about Hades, is that like you're trying to get out of hell. But at this point, I'm sure that everybody knows that after you get out of hell, it's not over. Like the story isn't over, and you have to keep going and keep doing it and experience all the characters and stuff and keep doing it. So after the 6 times that I've beaten it, still not done with the story. So at this point, it is now that I'm gonna have as much fun as I can with each of these weapons and just go balls to the wall berserk on this shit. It's gonna be glorious. And then you have to modify your run with some harder stuff to tack onto it. That's called like the heat gauge, and put on a bigger bounty so you can get more rewards and stuff. But still, even if you didn't do that and you just ran it again with no hard mode modifications to it, you can still get more of the story. So that was my week. Unsheathed Productions, how did your week, actually a week and a half go?
The first part of it was kind of like, it wasn't a lot of like games being played. It was actually just a lot of like chilling and catching up on sleep and stuff like that. But the last week or so, I kind of jumped back into gaming again, and first up played a whole bunch of Bloons TD6, which I know LadyInfamous is a hater for. Tower defense games.
That's fine. I saw that shit and went somewhere else.
Yeah, exactly. But me and Sharpie like it, so that's what matters.
Yeah, that's what matters.
It's easy for me to get addicted to that kind of game, just to kind of try to min-max things. I'm still relatively new in it. So there's a lot of stuff I don't know, and chat on Twitch definitely makes sure that I know that I don't know stuff, because they'll come in and tell me I'm doing everything wrong. But I did that like a couple of days and did some co-op as well. We were having weird issues with the servers, so it was kind of like really choppy. And the more stuff we added on the screen, the choppier it got. Is that like pretty normal?
Yeah. Every time I do co-op, it's always like that.
Yeah.
And when it gets crazy.
Sure, of course. Yeah, but I mean, even like we did 2-player co-op in the beginning, and like even with that, it was kind of choppy. And when we added 4 people, it got even worse and whatever. But it was still fun. Like if the servers were kind of all acting properly, I would probably love playing co-op in that game, except for the trolling. Anyway, there's a lot of trolling that happens. So I played that. Actually went through and played Finding Paradise, which I guess technically is it supposed to be the sequel to the Moon, or is it just kind of the next game they made?
No, it's the sequel. It's the same doctors, right?
Yeah, same doctors. So I'm like, yeah, same universe. Which was just great. I think I might have played the 2 games too closely together, because like they felt like very similar up until about halfway in the game, where it kind of branched off and the story started getting unique compared to like the original game. But it was still fun. It was only like 4 hours, I think, just like To the Moon. Pretty short experience, but it was great. played some Donut County just because it was on Game Pass, and that you were actually right, Sharpie. It took like 2.5 hours total. um,
I wasn't
longest-
right. It was howlongtobeat.com that was right.
Yeah, I know. Remember, but I was saying I didn't like believe that it was that short. I thought that was like speedrunners, but there's just not a lot to the game. It was still fun though. All you really do is create holes in the ground and like use them to suck items in. But it was fun. It was super fun. Then the last thing I'll say I played is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which actually is surprising me thus far. I hope this one you're not right on, because Sharpie told me that like he couldn't make it through because the beginning was great, but then at some point it just kind of got like boring, right? Yeah. So far I'm with you. The beginning is great. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all. I thought it was going to be more so like sort of traditional 2D side scroller, kind of like Castlevania or something. But like so far I like it a lot. I think like they're super creative with their monster models, and like I mean, maybe the attacks you can do are kind of limited thus far, but they have like a lot of weapons, a lot of gear. If you like that sort of like thing where you can kit out your character the way you'd like, you know, make make builds and stuff like that. It's kind of like a simple way of doing it, but the story's actually so far not bad. The voice acting is really well done. The art style is great. So I'm like loving it so far. I think I'm about 2 hours in at this point. So I guess we'll see if you're right in the future. But that was about it. And thank you guys for joining us. Just want to say that. How about you, Sharpie?
Man, what I played a lot of arcadey type games. So just like you said you played Bloons. I played it with you. I also played what do you call it? Pac-Man 256. It's like this weird Pac-Man game where it's like a never-ending Pac-Man where you're being chased by the glitch. You know, the glitch that you get in Pac-Man, except you're being chased upwards, and you're trying to also and then like each of the ghosts are very unique, I should say. Like Pinky will only move, will stay stationary and then only move if you're in line of sight. And it'll keep moving until like it hits a wall. And then like I think like Blinky will consistently try to chase you. And then like I forgot what the blue one was called, like Clyde or something like that, would randomly choose a path, right? So, and then like you get like items and all that in this game where you can destroy the ghost like with laser beams or bombs and stuff like that. So that I thought that was fun. I think the goal, the goal is to try to get as far to the top as possible, but there's also like I think like combos. So it's like as long as you're like consistently eating, you get like these multipliers, and then like I think they want you to try to at least hit 256 consistent pebbles, which is very hard to do. So yeah, so I've been playing that. I also played I wouldn't say normal, but I played Apex Legends with some of my friends out, and Star Wars Squadron, and I also tried out this game called Super Animal Royale. So it's like it's a free-to-play battle royale from the top down, and you're playing as a bunch of animals shooting each other. It's really funny, and somehow it's actually fun.
I know this game. Yeah,
I've heard of it like a while ago, and then seen some other streamers play it, but every time that they're like, "Oh, you should get it," I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'll get it," and I just never do. I just need to download it.
Yeah, it's not a very big game, and it's actually more fun than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I played this game called Cloud Climbers, which took less than 15 minutes to beat. And it's free.
Houseway.
Huh?
Houseway. How?
Oh, it was just on Steam and it's free.
Oh,
well,
okay.
I think she's saying how did it take 15 minutes to beat.
Oh no, I mean it's a really short story-oriented first-person game. So it's just like there's like no NPCs or anything.
Is it like set up for replayability or something like that? Or
No,
you're literally
there's
supposed
no
to be done in
replayability.
15 minutes?
Just there's no replayability.
Huh.
And there's not a whole lot to this game. In fact, I don't know if I should. Well, I guess you can call it a game because you do take control. So, but yeah, it's just strictly story. And I'm like saying, so exactly what happened and all that. And then I was just like, I wanted to know more about like what happened, like why is this a thing and stuff like that. So it gave me a lot of questions. I'm like, developer, you better make more of this game somehow, you know. Anyways,
a quick question about Pac-Man 256. Is it sort of like Crossy Road?
yeah, I guess you can say that.
Okay, because you started talking about that. That was, I think I've seen pictures of it, and that solidified. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
okay.
like a never-ending Frogger, except as
Yeah.
Pac-Man. Yeah.
Okay.
And I played Call of Duty Cold War's campaign on realism, and I gotta say that game's not that hard compared to like all the
No,
other
What?
Call of
no,
Duties.
it is
It is
not.
very, very easy.
It is. It truly is.
Wow.
Yeah,
Too
like
easy.
on realism.
Wait.
Like
So
I was just
maybe
popping heads like nonstop. I was just like, oh, there's a head, there's a head.
Well, okay. So maybe it's also easy because those guns, they shoot in a real life way for the enemy, and they can't hit you.
Oh no, they hit like on realism. They have amazing aim. Yeah,
You
they
know,
have
I was kinda-
amazing aim. So like, well, in fact, that's what it says. Like when you choose realism, it says like enemies have increased accuracy and everything. So
Okay.
the only part that I died a lot was like the part where you're grabbing onto like this little bomb thing, and then you're like surrounded by a bunch of enemies while going up with this helicopter. That's the only part that I died.
The rooftop, where all
Yeah,
the
the one, yeah, where the you know the one with the giant satellite,
yeah.
yeah, that one.
Yeah,
And you're trying to escape with a bunch of enemies around.
you
like,
guys are all
like
on top of
gunning
like a
you.
box, right? Shooting everybody in like every direction, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
And then you don't really have a cover. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only part that I died probably like 12.5 times.
That sounds about right.
I'm gonna be the only one that does not play Cold War.
I didn't
Well-
play Modern Warfare, like the new one. So
Okay, it evens out. I thought I was actually gonna get Cold War with my graphics card, but I guess because since I bought it on Newell Business, they didn't offer that specialties or whatever.
yeah, so I played that, and yeah, it's not. I thought it was gonna be harder, but I liked how they approached the story towards the end. Like I had like a guy come in and saying, oh, so which ending are you gonna choose and all that. I'm like saying there's multiple endings. You know, it's like, oh, there's like 6 and all that. So
Isn't it?
you
A
have to just watch which ending I got.
Kind of multiple endings.
Kind of multiple endings.
Yeah.
Stupid. Lightweight.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my week. Anyways,
Some.
you guys did you want to say something? No? Okay.
No,
Okay.
there wasn't anything else to my week that I can remember.
All right, cool. Anyway, so on with the news. So once again, how the news works is each of us is going to like start off the news topic, starting with me, and I'm going to just pass it on to the next person, and that's how, and we're just going to relay it. Anyways, so for me, I want to talk about FGC creating a code of conduct, and this was a 6-month in the making, and some of these I found pretty interesting. Did you, when you guys read it, did you find these like did you find anything interesting about any of these? And I was like,
were you like latching onto the one where they're like talking about hygiene basically?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one that I had like a comment about, and I was just like, wow.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk about, and I think we all just want to talk about that one.
I don't especially want to talk about that one. It's just that was the one that stuck out like a sore thumb, because the first thing I thought of was, damn, those Melee players, fucking
they're screwed.
they're screwed. No tournaments for them, I guess.
Yeah. You know what the interesting part was? I was saying, oh, well, we can't afford water like everybody else. It's like, you guys go to a freaking convention with hotels. Yeah. Water's free. You know, it's like that.
No, like all of these are reasonable. Like there's also some of these that like I didn't think that they would be on here. Like DDoSing, swatting, spreading malware, phishing, hacking, like that.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool.
That is cool. Like because when I think of like FGC Code of Conduct, my first thought is always, oh, like live, not over the internet, but just live tournaments. But this is covering both live and online. Um, uh, there's a couple of other things here. I wonder. Oh, engaging in physical contact with any other person without their consent. That seems like a no-brainer. It has to be
That's like
pointed out,
that's
obviously.
common sense. It's common sense.
Exactly, but like whenever I see these League of Legends tournaments and stuff like that, like, of that kind, sometimes well, I guess it's also for a lot of others, but it's that or Overwatch and stuff. Not necessarily for like Call of Duty. Like anytime that I see like some sort of like celebration, like we won a match or whatever, they like touch the guy's shoulders and stuff like that. My first thought is ask permission, but no, it's more like that. Like they have like this understanding of each other, but at that point, it's like if he's like, "Hey, don't touch me," it's like they would know immediately. So I think that's one of those things of just like it's one or the other, and it's a little bit finicky, but like that's a still a no brainer right there.
I think like one of the things
Like,
that
go ahead. I'm
really
sorry.
stood out for me is just this overall thing of it's interesting that like they even need to list these, because I feel like pretty much all of them are like Lady Infamous was saying, like completely common sense. It's like don't touch people if they say they don't want to be touched. Like don't abuse power. Don't enter areas you're not supposed to be in. I'm like, it's interesting that they actually have to list all of these to say you're not supposed to do these. That is, as if that's not like basically been rules in life for everyone's entire their entire lifetime.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
they needed to have it in writing, right?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Just so like when it comes to some legal issues or like ethical
Yeah.
issues, like
Yeah.
at least it's in writing and that's something that you agreed on.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not like a fault of theirs. I'm just saying I think it's interesting that they even have to do it. I feel like I follow all of these rules basically just in being courteous, essentially.
Yeah, especially bathing. Right?
I mean,
like
not
if you're
common
at
sense,
home,
right?
I don't mind you being you're wrecking stench, but when you're out and like with other people, especially in a crowded area, my God, at least take a bath.
Yeah, like a couple of conventions, I was at the wrong hall, and I was like, yeah, but mainly,
What are you talking about? And
You mean you just kind of like wandered into the wrong room or something?
yeah, because like if I'm in a convention and I wandered to the wrong hall, you walk somewhere and you get like a whiff of that funk, and in the beginning, it's like, okay, funk? What funk? Oh no, you don't know about the funk? People don't be washing their ass in conventions. I'm like, are you serious? Watch.
Yeah,
Me.
the funk that smells like they haven't wiped their ass in like 3 weeks. Like it's terrible. Like remember actually the first time that I went to Evo and I smelled it, and as soon as I smelled it, I turned right the fuck around, and I was like, I'm
it
outta
ruins the
here.
experience of the event.
Yeah.
It ruins the immersion of the environment.
Your smell ruined my
Yeah,
immersion.
they have a $300 controller, but they're not willing to put in $2 for even deodorant or something.
Yeah, they got to pay for tickets. They got like hotel.
Yeah,
They're
you
not
can get deodorant at the dollar store. What you
Yeah.
mean?
It only costs $1.
Yeah.
Even probably your bottle of water costs more than that.
That is absolutely right, because bottled water be expensive as hell.
Yeah.
Yes. But I think it's just common courtesy when it's not just with these particular rules for this particular event, but everywhere you go to, especially in convention season, you got to be courteous. You got to understand that you ain't going to be like, the convention ain't all for yourself, and you got people around you that's there. And at times it's going to be like shoulder to shoulder on those floors. So, I mean, like that's
not
one of the
anytime soon, but
no, not anytime soon, but how it was. You're shoulders to shoulders with people, and like one of the things that you pack in your bag is you like some deodorants or some wipes or something to freshen yourself up with. That's like the top 2 things you put in your bag before you go on a convention for. But you got grown people that don't even do that. So it is what it is. And I bet you somebody's not gonna listen to these rules and they're gonna do what the fuck they're gonna do regardless.
Well,
Hey,
they're
and
like doing but being there means that you agree to these rules. So if you don't follow them, then you will be kicked out. And they say it's like, well, why? You don't have a rule for. They can't say, well, you don't have a rule for it. It's like saying, well, yeah, we do now.
Fine.
I know that like we've harped on like a couple of specific scenarios, like a bunch, and it's all in jest. But some of the things that actually point out on this, because it's a point of contention for whatever reason nowadays. But engaging in discriminatory or hateful statements or behavior, including any based on race, color, ethnicity, nationality, sex, going down the line, romantic orientation, gender identity, religion, disability, neurodiversity, body size, or any other personal characteristics. The fact that like they go so deep into that, like I'm glad that they do. And then there was and then that's right next to it. Intentionally outing any other person's sexual orientation, gender, or another identity without their consent. Like the fact that they're actually pointing this out and putting it on the rule book, like it needs to be there. Unfortunately, this is one of those things of just like, wow, why is water hot? And it's just like,
He's
the
stupid.
fucking water's hot, dude. Like, don't do that. Don't be a shitter. Like, holy
Why
shit.
water's hot? I can't fucking stand you, man. But just be courteous. Just be courteous. That's what it is with me.
There are a couple that kind of throw me off though, because it's like, how are you gonna possibly enforce these, like taking photographs or recording any other person without either their consent?
I wanted to ask you
It's
that.
like,
I think when you take a picture or something, you ask them, can I have your consent?
sure, but like, when you're at one of these events, everybody has a cell phone and they could just kind of throw up their cell phone really quick and take a picture. Like, how do you enforce whether or not somebody gave consent?
And what if there's like a group of people and you're just trying to take a picture of your friends, and then but then there's other people around that area?
Maybe put
make it obvious.
True.
Yeah.
Like I have some pictures out there, but it's only really us. But then there are like other people around too.
Yeah.
But I think it's directed towards the person you're taking a picture with, not necessarily the people in the background.
What if you want to take a picture of this, like the venue, but there's also people around?
Okay, here's the thing, because you're pointing out something that is like a very broad statement, and it's like okay, but what if? And here's the thing.
I think these are valid questions.
It's a valid question. When anybody has like a camera that's out or has their cell phone out in horizontal position, and they take a step back and they're holding their camera or their phone out, if people look in that direction, they know like, oh, they're going to take a picture. But like they'll either step away or they'll duck under or whatever. Like if it's a general like crowd, like say it's like in front of the convention center and it's like a huge crowd, like, I mean, depending in my eyes, like whenever you take a shot like that, there's never any like, you can't really tell what people's faces are unless you did a Star Trek zoom enhance sort of thing. Like I don't know. Like I think that sort of thing is like, that's fine. I don't think that like taking a picture of the venue, you're kind of making it obvious when you're taking a picture. That's just my take on that.
Yeah, I'm just curious what happens if someone complains. If you do a crowd shot and someone's in the crowd that didn't want to be a part of that shot.
Or they just say that just so they can abuse the code.
No, they could just be like, look, I don't want to be in a picture, crop me out.
True.
Because I've been a couple of times that I took a picture of like the surrounding convention floor, and I have people come up to me like, hey, yo, man, I don't want my picture taken. Can you like do something about that?
Do you crop them out?
I respect their wishes. I crop them out.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Do you think some people are going to abuse this just by like purposely trying to like photobomb somebody and then a photographer, and then they're going to be like, I don't want this to be in the picture?
Probably so.
Maybe just a troll, but I'm going to guess they wouldn't. necessarily do it like, I guess that is maliciously, but you know what I mean. Like I don't think it's literally to kind of like mess up someone's photos. It's probably just to be like, oh, watch this. I'm gonna do something funny. Because otherwise, why would you photobomb?
So
Yeah.
there's something else that like is being pointed out to me that is just like, I mean, uh, like Big Brother already has like your photos on file. Like anybody can take a picture of you, but like as far as for like in this sort of like setting
Social
for like
media.
like social media, like the entire world like has like your picture on file. So
Sure.
like I mean, you're always on camera. Like even so
yeah,
like
if you want to
the
put it that
government has
way.
you on camera, it's like we're on camera like that, you know. There's no getting away from it, but like it's more of like when you go to these FGC things or the code of conduct, it's just I think in that specific terms, it's you have that sort of thing uh to fall back on if it's like somebody has a camera right at you and is taking your picture, and it's just like I don't want my picture taken, and
What if
then
it's like a
like
journalist that needs a picture of like a player that's playing right now?
Extra scenarios to the situation.
that's an extra scenario. Like you at
yeah.
that point, okay. But here's the thing: like even when you are talking to a journalist, you can still deny to actually like for that article for a journalist, whoever. Like you can say no, but they can just if they wanted to grab your picture from like somewhere else. Like that's it. That's the end of my argument.
I know it says like 112. It says maliciously abusing power over any other person. Do you think that's just abusing their own personal power, or do you think that's also using this code? Like they're abusing the code.
I think that's for the grooming issues that was happening.
So do you think they should have added like a code where they a code where they just said like you can't abuse this code of conduct either?
Again, it goes all the way to common sense. You shouldn't be using your power to manipulate people like that and grooming them in the first place. There have been some incidents in that community that been going on, and they feel like they need to put that rule in there. It's justified for me, because maybe some people just don't get it. So I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that rule all day.
I think what I was gonna say is I think the what would be great is if like these like I said, a lot of them are commonsensical. So like it'd be nice if you started seeing stuff like this adopted, not even just in the FGC, but actually in maybe like the terms of service of like the games themselves. Because it's nice that like they can enforce this stuff when they're at an event, but it'd be cool if like
universally,
kind of a sweeping sort of getting rid of the trash, just in fighting games in general, because we all know how like online playing can be toxic. So it'd be nice if there was like they said that don't do these things, don't be like racist, sexist, misogynist, like all the stuff in these rules, and said if you are, then we'll ban you from our game. So that hopefully,
I'm pretty sure a lot of games
From
have
the
it,
game
but people
entirely?
still do it anyways. Especially free-to-play games, it's hard to reinforce that because people will just create a new account.
Very true. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for official tournaments.
Oh no, he said like games in general.
Yeah, I was saying it'd be nice if this
general.
stuff could spread too. Yeah,
that's kind of hard to do.
I know. It's going to be hard to do for the
it's hard to scale that without AI.
Even with like an IP ban, like you can just have a different IP or go through spoof an IP or use a VPN.
Yeah.
Like that. It eventually like you start creating like these walls for online for that one person, and then you start like creating more walls. Eventually it just becomes like harder, but they can still get around that sort of thing too. So like in the free to play scope, it's definitely hard on that part. Like I don't know about like if someone's gonna. There are actually a lot of people that bought multiple copies of Overwatch and created multiple accounts so that they could smurf their account just specifically for that. So
Yeah.
So what do you think the answer is? Just make everything more pay to play?
well,
Uh,
Do you
wait,
think
say that
that's
again?
gonna help lessen it? I don't know. That's a very good, that's a question that I've been thinking about for quite some time.
Yeah. That's
I
why I
mean,
don't think anybody has the answer really. Sorry, go ahead,
yeah.
Zeldrick.
No, there isn't really an answer, and there's no way to. I mean, as far as for all this stuff, like you can't for online tournaments or just on the online multiplayer scope, you can't regulate somebody from being an asshole. But I mean, you can only do so much
Yeah.
to like just keep pushing somebody away. Um, there was a game. No, was it Rainbow Six Siege? There was a game that like was IP banning people like on the spot for using racial slurs in text chat. Was it Rainbow Six Siege?
It sounds like Rainbow Six.
Yeah. It was like as soon as like somebody type one of those in, like a racial or just a discriminatory word, banned right there. So like I think that was one of like the biggest news out of like past like few years. That was like
What if it's
in
like
the
a Spanish
hopefulness
person saying black?
that's spelled differently.
A Spanish
You know,
person saying black. Oh.
negro. That's
Wait,
black
I was
in
gonna say,
Spanish.
yeah.
That's not.
Yeah.
Is that that's not derogatory to me, unless you're saying it in a derogatory
Sharpie.
term, like in a
Sharpie.
sentence.
Sharpie.
The bad word was derived from like Negro, which isn't a bad word. Neither is Negro. It'd be all right. But yeah.
That was pretty good.
What's the next topic?
Yeah, what's the next topic? LadyInfamous?
I got you. Okay. Everybody know, like the last 48 hours, Ninja started quite a stir. There was an article on GameSpot. Let me refresh that. GameSpot saying that it is not his responsibility to teach kids about racism and white privilege. My question for this, I know you guys, everybody read the article. My question is, do you feel as content creators, you feel like if there's some sort of responsibility or none at all to teach your audience, white privilege and racism or racial injustice, all in that bubble right there? I'm gonna start last because I got some things I gotta say. What about you, Unsheath?
It's a tough one because, like, for me personally, I honestly think of it as like, what are you really saying underneath it all when you say should we teach them about it? And I think what it is like you're saying should you teach them like what you think is the correct perspective, which I'm aligned with the idea of like, everyone should know about racial injustice and like privilege and all that kind of stuff. But you kind of run into the question of like, what if that's not what they believe in? Like, for example, Ninja, what if he's actually doesn't subscribe to either of those things? What if he subscribes to something else? Like, there is no white privilege, for example. What if that's his take? Should we be telling him he should teach that then? It's kind of like, are you telling people I think most of the world kind of agrees on what's right, in that there is like racial injustices that people should know about and people should learn about and stuff like that. But I think really what we're saying is, should you teach people what's right? And the problem is, as a content creator, I mean, I don't know if it's reasonable to say, if you agree with me, then you should teach them what's right. And if you don't, you shouldn't say anything. Because I'm guessing that's what most people would say. If he's saying there's no white privilege, they'll probably tell him to shut up. So, like, honestly, my perspective would be like, if it's something you believe in, then like, yeah, teach, like, it's not your responsibility, but like I think it should be encouraged to like share that belief and like try to help people kind of learn the reality of things. But like I don't know if I can say like it's their responsibility as much as I could say it's like a responsibility of a racist to teach the world about racism. I guess. Whether or not we should do it on Twitch, I mean, that's to me, that's like, or Twitch or YouTube or like whatever platform you're on, that's up to you. People have different reasons for whatever, but like, my thing is like, I think if you genuinely believe in it, then yeah, why not share it?
What about you, Sharpie?
I think it's responsibility to both sides, right? Like because the person's watching it and they're looking up to you, so it's like they have if like if it's usually, I'm guessing this is for somebody that's younger, right? So
Yeah.
it's like that tends to be in like their teens and under, pretty much, right? So I'm guessing like they're looking up to the parents and they have to look up to whoever they're following. So it's like it's up to them. And I guess it's also up to the parents to have them. I guess the head of the snake would be the parents that has to put in place if they should be following them themselves, or they should also learn from other people too.
Excuse me.
Because learning from other people is also something that we are all encouraged to do. Even as adults, we're all encouraged to do that, right? To learn from others. So sometimes the others could be something very negative, and people might take that in. So it's all up to, well, I guess the head of the snake again is the parents. But it's not only the it's not only the but based on how they want their kids to be, it might not just be the parents' responsibility.
Okay, I respect that. What about you, Zeldrick?
It's on everybody to teach about it. This is like really weird as far as for like not really like how to like answer this question. It's more like it's up to the parents, of course, yeah, but like as a content creator, like it's also you to uphold to not to be anti-racist, to like to teach people and to uphold for your fellow person, for whoever they may be, of identity of any kind. Like here's the problem. I kind of like want to like go over like a couple of things with the article, with what he was talking about. And for one, there is a line in this that like as I was reading it, like the first thing that stuck out to me was the first thing I think of when a kid says that is he's trolling me. And my first thought is, to that is everything's not about you, fuckwad. Like, why is that your reaction to it? And not, hey, don't be a racist asshole. Like, there are several communities out there, YouTube, Twitch, anybody, and they have really good modding communities. They have modders there. Ninja's chat like goes a mile a minute. Maximilian Dude's chat goes a mile a minute. XQC's goes a mile a minute. You know how you actually like you have a good community? You have modders and the guy that's there streaming looking at chat at the same time, and they're seeing what people are saying. And if somebody gets banned or they have their like whatever they typed taken away for being a racist, you can say, hey, don't do that. It's like bare minimum you can just do that, and that alone already sends a message of who you are. And that's barely any effort on your part as a broadcaster. You can do so much more than that. But from the way that he's developing, or from the way he's tackling this situation, from handling it, what he's doing is, yeah, anybody can watch me. I don't give a fuck. Like he's taking this like sort of centralist approach of like, yeah, like you can watch me and you can watch me, and then if he's just not gonna like respond about anything. So it is because you're a content creator doesn't mean that you just stepped up to a different level of plane of being on top of everybody. You're still a person. You're just playing like I'm gonna say something that Ninja's gonna hate. You're playing a fucking game. Like don't be I'm gonna say it again. Don't be a shitter. Like why you it's up to you. It is up to you to uphold that because you're still a person among all of your other people around the world.
Okay.
This sort of thing like pisses me off.
For me, I'm gonna be real with you. It's 50-50 for me. It's the responsibility as a parent to monitor what their kids are doing. And let's be honest here, some parents are not doing that. They're just letting their kid do whatever they want on the internet, and they're not noticing what they're saying. They're not knowing how they treat people. And it'd be plenty of times that, a child gonna say some racist shit, and either they got it from someone off the internet or somewhere at home. So yes, there is to a degree, it is the parent's responsibility, but also it is the responsibility of the content creator, especially if you creating content for that age demographic. Yesterday was a mess because
you were all over my timeline.
I swear to God,
it was rough.
It was rough, but I had to say it. I don't care what color skin you got, or if you're a man or a woman, don't come to me talking about I gave up tens of thousands of dollars to these organizations, and you're gonna get mad when I say you need to educate your community, because it's important. If I, with the numbers that I got, and I might not have the biggest availability as Ninja, but you better believe if somebody come in there in my chat talking about racism, calling people out their names, being disrespectful for the chat, it is my job as a content creator to let people know, like, look, you can't do that shit. It's been plenty of times. I had people come in there saying a hard R to the people in the chat. And I'm like, no, you're not going to do that. And that's one of the first things that's one of the first rules that's in my channel. You're not going to be rude. You're not going to be disrespecting people like that. You're not going to be disrespecting people on race, sex, or religion. And as a content creator, I can't allow that to happen, and I can't project myself to do those things as well, because how I'm gonna be you have to, at some point, if you're a real content creator, and if you really love what you do, you gotta like think about what affects what the things that you do affects the viewer, and how they affect the viewer. And yes, I think him saying that he is not responsible to teach kids about race when his community is fucking racist do not sit right with me. And it
is his community racist?
Zeldrick, is his community racist? Yesterday, I got threats. I got ridiculed. I got disrespected. I got called everything under the sun because I told him something that apparently his community did not want to hear. I told him it is not about the money. I told him you will never understand what Black people go through because you're not Black. And you know what happened? I got the whole ninja squad. I'm ugly. My channel's dead. Nobody cares about you. You ain't shit. You clout chasing, all that shit.
But is that Ninja's community or is that the internet?
A little bit of both.
I feel like when people are outspoken, that's what happens every time.
I know a little bit of both. I'm gonna say what happened yesterday was 50% internet, 50% his community, and they went and jumped on the back of. It wasn't about teaching people about racism and social injustice. It's about, oh, now it's the parents' problem. You know what I'm saying? So miss me with that shit. My little audience, they already know not to be rude and not to be disrespectful to nobody. But you can't teach that with your audience, knowing that your words and your actions will be bigger than your pocketbook. Man, fuck out of here, man. I think that's all I gotta say. I hope I didn't run on time too much. My bad.
I
mean,
as far
sorry, go
as far as for like this, I'll actually repeat exactly like what I tweeted, and it was that I'm trying to scroll down real quick. That millions of people watch you. The least you can do is ban them and say, "Don't do that. Racism is bad," and you won't, and that speaks volumes. The fact that
But
he won't, the fact that he won't do anything, and he's like, "It's not my problem." That like that's his reaction to it, is because you won't do anything. It speaks so much, even though that you are like, I spent tens of thousands of dollars on like this, that, or the other thing to help the disenfranchised and stuff like that, and it's just like you still surround your community with people that are anti that, or that want to like spread hate, and because
that
you
would
won't do
bother
that,
me.
and
Yeah.
the fact that you won't do anything on your own channel as you're live, it says a lot about you when you're spending money to not to like to help the disenfranchised. So
If if I was a different color or a different race, maybe what I said yesterday wouldn't have mattered. You know what I'm saying? It probably would have been just some random shit to say. But I guess me being a Black female, and I directly said to him what I felt. It seems like it really truly it shows me that yes, if you making paper on stream and you don't you run like, you know what, I'm not trying to go on my little soapbox here, but I'm just saying education is key. That's all I'm saying. Education is key. Please. Education is key.
I feel like that you guys have every right to go on your soapbox on this.
No, but no, if I was in my own channel, yeah, I can do this all day. But I gotta be considerate of the other 3 people on the show, so I'm not going to do that. But the people already know how I felt. So who
All right.
has the next topic?
I guess that'll be me.
Okay.
So I guess recently, Gabe Newell did like an interview with One News, and I guess they questioned him about like what's going to be coming in the future from Valve, and his response was that I guess based on them doing Half-Life Alyx, there's been like a resurgence of interest in doing kind of like single player experiences again, making more single player games. Not that they didn't mention anything in particular, no franchises like specifically, but he did say there's a bunch of projects out there with, you know, code names that he said even he doesn't necessarily know what they are because they switch around relatively frequently. And so I'm sure he knows what the project is, but he just doesn't necessarily know what, you know, if you give him a code name, what each individual code name is representative of. But he did confirm that Valve is working on, I guess, a number of games, whatever that number is. I guess they said the word several, but just kind of curious, like, are you guys excited about like the idea of any of the franchises coming out, like maybe a resurgence of a franchise from Valve that you've liked in the past, or like what you'd like to see from them? Like, what are you guys' thoughts?
I'll start. I don't, when I see Valve, I see like open game. I see games I never played. So for them to like even hint that they're gonna have some new stuff coming out, I'm excited because unlike I'm like I'm still new to the PC world, and I would love me some new adventures on the PC that I can be able to do. Hopefully you can help, you know, I hope it's not keyboard and mouse. I hope I can use my controller. But that's just me. I'm like I said, I'm a newbie. I'm such a newbie when it comes to PC games, but I love new experiences, and this is, if I see something I like in the future from Valve, I'm gonna dive in. because before I had my PC, that's all I heard. Like one of the key words that I've been hearing from PC players all the time when I was on console was Valve, and Valve this and Valve that. I'm like, well, let me when I get Steam, oh, Valve owns that. I'm like, for real? Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, but they don't really have any. They don't have they don't have a lot of titles. So I'm intrigued. That's the word, intrigued of what they gonna come out with. But games take time, so I hope maybe we'll see a little bit of trailer or a little bit of a teaser somewhere like this year, and I'll be cool with it. I'm always open to trying new things.
Titanfall?
Valve own that?
No, they don't own it, but they made the engine for it.
Oh,
Apex Legends? Valve made the engine for it.
Oh,
I'm
really?
actually kind of
Yeah.
surprised that
Wait.
you haven't played many because they do a ton of first-person shooters. Like that's kind of like for a lot of their properties, that's what it is. Like and actually a bunch of them were on console as well. Like I know Orange Box was on console, so they had Portal and Team Fortress 2 and I guess Half-Life. What was that episode?
Half-Life
2
Half-Life
and 3
2.
or Half-Life 2. Okay. Yeah, so so their stuff has been on console in the past. I mean, I don't know if you played any of those. Maybe
Yeah.
you played.
I dabbled in those titles,
Okay.
but that was like on console. So just hopefully they got big bank, so I wouldn't be surprised if, as long as it looks clean on my PC and I can be able to play it, I'm just open for it. So what about you guys?
I just think it's just going to be 3 of everything now. Now
Did
that they probably have like new ideas and probably a new engine.
Mm.
Because I don't.
Oh, you mean
like,
the third iteration of everything?
Yeah, like
Oh.
Half-Life 3, Half-Life
Gotcha.
Episode 3, Portal 3, Left 4 Dead 3, stuff like that.
Not with Back 4 Blood. I don't think they're gonna bring back Left 4 Dead 3.
Yeah, they can always get another developer, or they can do an in-house one using their own engine again.
Well, not with Back 4 Blood. That's gonna be their competition.
Exactly.
Yeah. Though the thing is with Gabe Newell talking about this, honestly, like because of the way that the company is run and how they work, they work on what they want to work on,
Yeah.
but they don't really like enforce that. Okay, like you got to keep working on this game if you start it,
Or you have to move to this project.
or move to this. Like they don't do that. So who the fuck knows if like they're gonna be like, oh man, we're so excited to be getting back into games again, but then it's just like, I'm bored like working on this game. I'm gonna go back to like managing Steam. Like I don't know. Like it's sort of a weird thing to be like to say that we're excited to be making games again when that is your entire company like
Started
work
off with.
style. Yeah, like how it started off with, but like if that's the way that that's the way that the company is like managed and how employees just work, it's so loose. So it's weird to think that they're
Cultures
keep
can
onto
change
this.
within a company. I've seen that happen.
Yeah. And that's actually something I would imagine might be the case, is like maybe the employees after they like actually made Half-Life Alyx were like, oh, I forgot how much I enjoyed making like gaming experiences. Like maybe they had switched, to more so supporting Steam or whatever. And then doing this kind of renewed people's interest in doing it again, which I personally can relate to because I've done that about 5 times with programming, where it's like I backed away from it and then I come back and do something and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, that was fun. I forgot why I didn't like it. And then all of a sudden I don't like it, like, after the next project. So
Like the most recent, like that Asteroids game that you were like,
oh, that was
messing
still
around
fun.
with.
It's just I don't have enough time. Yes.
Yeah,
So
I mean, Valve doesn't really like to create new games, I should say, if it's not like, industry changing.
That's what I would
Right.
expect. Yeah.
So I was actually going to bring this up that that was part of the reason why that they made Half-Life Alyx was because it was their first game that they were going to be making for VR.
VR. Yeah.
And because it was such a it's a new peripherals, new device that people can experience a game on. Like it's a new that was enough for them. But like, oh,
And it's
like
really well made too, based on what I hear.
I have it. I still haven't played it, and I should just buckle down and just play it on my own time. But the but then people, or there was some article that was like that it didn't sell well or sell as much as they expected or something like that. Like the Half-Life Alyx, anyways. And it was just like, yeah, you put up this like $1,500 barrier to be able to play this game. Of course, it didn't sell as well as you thought. But I digress. One of the things that I did recall reading about this sort of thing was that they were going to have some sort of asynchronous sort of game where it is a VR aspect and a computer aspect, but like they're both happening at the same time. Like I get maybe like a multiplayer experience sort of thing.
Kind of like what Eve did.
I guess so. Yeah,
like remember Eve had that first-person shooter on PlayStation, and then like actual Eve players on PC were able to interact with them in some way.
Yes. I think PlanetSide 2 tried to do that sort of thing. There was another one where it was just like they there was like ground units that like affected like aerial combat and stuff like that, or there like a whole world that was going on that planes affected, like, or different fields of war affected other places, that sort of thing. Anyways, so I mean, as far as for them getting back into the game space, just the saying that in itself, yeah, I'm excited. How much am I going to see it in the next decade? I don't know. I don't know because of how they run their company. Reading in between the lines of like the way that sort of company works, as far as for working on their own flow, people going in and out of projects as they see fit, and being able to do that, it makes it so that there's no crunch and that they're not really held to like a release date. So like it's kind of the opposite that we've seen with CD Projekt Red and Naughty Dog and all these other companies, that it's just like developers being so like battle worn because they got put under crunch for over a year. Valve doesn't do that.
Well, the thing is, Valve doesn't need to do that because they have a different source of income.
Exactly.
I mean, technically, I guess CD Projekt Red does too, but it's not as big as Valve.
Well, CD Projekt Red gets a chunk of their money from the government.
Yeah.
I think I was gonna say, like, honestly, counter to what you were saying, Sharpie, I honestly think that you probably won't see the threes the way that you would expect, because honestly, along the lines of what Zeldrick was saying, because of the difference in how they like approach development, I'm guessing that it'll probably be like that they won't want to make something, like you said, unless it's kind of shifting the industry in some way. Yeah, so it's like if they came and just said, "Oh, here's the final chapter in the Half-Life series," it's gonna be like, okay, what does it do that like every other first-person shooter doesn't do? At which point, like I'm a guess that it probably won't get much momentum unless it's something like significant. Like I imagine it might be more kind of like Double Fine, where like, yeah, go wild, think of something crazy, like, and then come to us with like ideas, and we'll pick whatever we think is interesting, like whatever we think we'll be able to execute on.
What if this whole thing was a decade in the making?
What's that?
What if this whole thing was a decade in the making? The whole thing, it's like,
hold on, which thing in the making though?
Just Half-Life. Like that, like all these ideas is just a build-up like that went on for over a decade.
Oh, we thought of ideas for a whole decade.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus.
I wouldn't.
And then like some ideas were like saying, nah, let's just take that away. And it's like, oh, do you have an idea? Yeah, let's have an idea. No, let's yeah, and then let's just see if that works. Oh no, it doesn't work. Oh, okay, let's make another. Do you have an idea? Kind of like how Google works, right? Like this is okay. You're gonna have like 20 groups of people just to have an idea of something and just put it in there to see if it's fun. And then you do that for over a decade, and then like
finally come to something, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's something of their standards of industry changing.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Lady Infamous? Sorry, we just
no.
interrupted.
What were you gonna say, Lady Infamous?
I wasn't gonna say anything. I said what I said, and I'm just absorbing the knowledge from the rest of you guys because you guys are more in tune with PC gaming, and I'm just listening what you guys have to say.
Well, I mean, this is more to do with just the gaming in general, and not just PC gaming. So,
well, if it's Valve, I mean, most likely they're going to put their shop on PC first, right?
Yeah, I mean, CD Projekt Red is technically a PC first company too. So,
man, let's
there's
not talk
that
about some CD Projekt Red, yo, man. Look, they out here looking bad right now. That might be my topic next week, but they out here bad. They out here bad right now. They know what they you know what. I was gonna put like some street lingo in it. They put some cut on that dope and sold it and it was like you don't put no cut on that. You don't. You're supposed to make it as clean and as pure as possible. They did not do that. They out here looking bad. They stocks went down since of that. Don't let me get started with CD Projekt Red. Don't let me get started. But like I said, I'm just absorbing the knowledge.
So there was another part with like Valve and everything. There was an interview with Gabe Newell about brain interfaces.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah.
Did you guys catch anything about that?
No.
About what?
No, not really. But I saw like that it was a discussion. Yeah.
There was a discussion point where Gabe Newell was like, yeah, like being able to experience games with your meat peripherals. Eventually, like that'll go.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say meat peripherals? Is that what you said? Meat? M-E-A-T? M-E-A-T? Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And but the idea was that like we're eventually going to hit a future where like your brain chemicals can be controlled by like the push of a button of an app or on your phone or whatever, and like have like your Google Glass like built in, like kind of like all the like the cyberpunk stuff, like it's just built into your brain and shit like that, into your eyes. But the other thing being that like imagine being able to just get your rest and your sleep with a push of a button and be like, oh well, I'm well rested now. Perky, I'm gonna go back to work now. Like he was talking about like that sort of thing being the future, and I was like, dude, you're a fucking mad scientist. Like, no, this is so. Don't give people ideas. This is so stupid. This is weird. I don't want this to happen.
It's coming.
It's coming. We'll probably be dead by then. But yeah, there's just there was that, and then also with moving the Valve company all the way to New Zealand because he got trapped in New Zealand because of COVID, and it's just like, well, we're here, and we, well, I guess now there's been a couple of people that have been infected or found out, but like moving the company to New Zealand, and then like so there's like Gabe Newell is on his like harebrained schemes of like shit going on. So who knows if they're actually working on games right now?
Well, you know what? They out here looking bad. What else we got on the docket? We got one more thing, right?
I have Capcom. I'll say like Capcom to talk about, but it's like the Resident Evil franchise to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
And so we saw Resident Evil Showcase, and it wasn't just Resident Evil Village. We saw a multiplayer deathmatch game, and then they also officially let out news about the Netflix series for Resident Evil. I forget what it's called, but we got a trailer, we got gameplay footage of Resident Evil Village, and we got, our eyes were just struck by the white vampiress that is Lady Dimitrescu, that the entire internet is blowing their load over.
No, people who don't get none blew that shit up. Let's just be honest with I never seen the she talk about me being thirsty. Motherfuckers was thirsty for that tall lady. They didn't care if she would suck your blood. She ain't care. They didn't care if they was gonna take your daughter. They was like, yo, I got to have her. All they was this little bit of curve right here. That's all it took for the internet to go crazy. Other than that, it reminds me of Resident Evil 7 with a castle. But I ain't pre-ordering it. I'm a wait till Zeldrick get it, and he gonna tell me if I need to go get it because
which is funny.
It was good.
For 7,
huh?
That was the opposite for 7. I was way late to the game on 7, and you got it like.
Oh, so I beat it before you?
You beat 7 before I did.
I think we all three of us played it prior to Zeldrick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but you're a fan of the series though, the actual series as a whole. You know what I'm saying? I think you played all of them.
As far as for the mainline series, yeah, I played all of them but 6, and Code Veronica.
You didn't play 6. 6 is it's not the best, but it's the it's like the
I heard
funnest.
6 was the worst.
It's also the worst. Yeah.
6, if you playing, I like 6 because I like 6 and 5 because you can co-op story mode that shit. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Pay me to actually play that one.
Stop! You gotta. How much they gotta pay
I'm
you?
not touching it.
How much they gotta pay you?
I mean, buy the game,
lot.
play it.
Just give him a little GME stock. They'll be all right.
That game is not a Resident Evil game. It's like an action.
It's an action game. Yeah.
Hey, it's still hey yo. I don't care what y'all say. It's still a Resident Evil title, and it's under the Umbrella Corporation. So let's not. Even though it was Crash,
that's just an action game with a Resident Evil skin attached to it.
And you know what? I had no problems playing all of those characters. No. So what? Resident Evil 5 was the same thing. It's with Chris and that other lady, and then 1 through 4 was just like puzzles, dogs, and demons. So I'm like,
I mean, that's how we knew Resident Evil: puzzles, dogs, and demons. Or zombies.
I mean, but the thing is, though, ain't nothing wrong with trying something new. They tried 6; it wasn't all bad. 7 was more of the 1, 2, 3 formula. 1, 2, 3, 4 formula. I personally, you laughing at me, bro?
No, I'm laughing at Inferno.
What'd he say?
He said RE6 is cheeks.
Yo, I could get that for $20 probably. Oh my God, Zelda, don't make me find this game on PC. And then we can play together as a unit. We're gonna play this. Look at his face. He said okay.
All right.
As long as you buy it.
I'm just not buying it. Like, I'm not gonna pay money to experience a horrible story.
But I'm telling you, that's fine. But with RE, sorry, I was gonna say RE, Resident Evil Village, the aesthetics is there. I give them credit for that. The aesthetics is. What is his name? The dude in the game, Ethan.
Yeah.
Okay. Why is he in the mess? Why is it?
That's a huge question.
That is what intrigues me. That's like the main what intrigues me about the game the most, because I believe he was in Resident Evil 7, and now I thought when you left at the end, I'm thinking like you gonna go live your life and you're not gonna fuck around on the Resident Evil streets anymore. But no, here you go again in the next title. So my story, my thing is like, I need to see the continuation of the story.
Have you ever met Leon and Claire? They didn't go on to live life after they finished. They're gonna keep you. They're gonna once you get used to a character, it's just like any other franchise. They're probably gonna keep on.
Yeah, I mean, it's still in the world where the T virus initially started. So
yeah.
The universe is still there.
Do you know, Zeldrick, where this game is supposed to land in terms of like the timeline?
Well, the thing is that it's all like chronological. Like, it's supposed to be after everything. There isn't really like a split like after 6 where it's just like 7 just goes back in time, and then you're experiencing how the world is playing out through Ethan's eyes. It's not like that. Like, 7 happens afterwards. And a quick rundown, like Umbrella Corporation, they got dismantled, but like they were still a company. They swept everything under the rug. They're now a company that is trying to fix all the mistakes that they did in the past. And with they hired a PMC company that Chris Redfield is a part of, and that's why he's in Resident Evil 7 as a DLC. And then like Umbrella is up to their schemes again, because in one of the screenshots for Village, there is an Umbrella logo on one of like the mural walls or whatever, like some sort of puzzle thing. So it's all in chronological. Like there's no like going back in time.
Like
sort of
1
thing.
through 7 are all supposed to be. I mean, I don't know about the spin-offs like a Code Veronica and all that stuff, but they're supposed to be in order, essentially.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There was a thing about Lady Dimitrescu that like I heard from someone else that was really interesting. There's some hints that she's going to be the next tyrant, and because like she's like so well spoken and she can actually, you know, be a human being, and that this is like the next evolution of the tyrant that Umbrella was actually working on.
Real quick explanation. What's a tyrant?
Tyrant. You know what?
Google
it just
that
kind of
shit.
like? Well, no, I'm just saying. Is it
Google
kind of
it.
like you know, the Mr. X kind of like whatever the sort of alpha
Nemesis
zombie
is a
kind
tyrant.
of thing? Nemesis.
Nemesis
okay,
is like a evolutionary form of a tyrant.
Gotcha.
X, I believe, is a tyrant as well, like a derived tyrant, like a strand of a tyrant. So
But kind of like the alpha zombie, essentially, the big kind of bad, unstoppable zombie, hypothetically.
That's one way you could put it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But they have a PS5 demo of Resident Evil 8 or Village, and it's more of a atmospheric experience. You run away from one of the sisters.
Very PT.
Yeah, it's very PT, and it actually shows off how great the lighting is in that game too for like the PS5. And then I don't know when we're getting a demo for Xbox and for Steam. But
Spring, like
it
a
says
month.
spring. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they did? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they gave us a lot to with that. Oh, also, the merchant sort of guy is coming back, but
That was
he's called
my favorite part of this whole thing.
The
new
He looks
merchant.
fantastic.
I got great deals for you, stranger.
He's
So
stupid.
he's called the Duke, and I found it weird that like that they put an emphasis on the merchant, but like they call him the Duke, and that he reminded me of Monty Python's Flying Circus. Like he's just so overly obese, where it comes off as comical.
Yeah.
And if they don't actually like lay in onto his character as being like a comedic stress relief sort of thing, then like his character is going to kind of fall flat, I feel like. But for any of those that are thinking that like, oh man, like is he related to the merchant in 4? Maybe, because they do quite a few references in the menus for the merchant. Or sorry, for the Duke. And then also with the way that the gameplay is, because this is one thing that I was worried about, that with Resident Evil 8, because of the way that they've been doing Resident Evil games, they go for the horror sort of survival aspect, that like you're running low on ammo and you gotta like dodge and weave and like to survive, like pick your shots and stuff. I was worried that by going with Village, in the first trailers being like, it looks a lot like Resident Evil 4, that there was going to be a lot of gunplay, that there was going to be a lot of like too much ammo and not enough survival aspect. But they specifically mentioned that you have to deal with specific zombies in a specific way, or specific monsters in a specific way, and that you can also make them drop their whatever they're holding by just shooting them in the hand. And I thought that was really cool that they added that sort of thing. But it seems like it's going to be one of those games of like, it looks like a first person shooter, but your controls are shitty. Just like every other Resident Evil game. Your controls are shitty, but you got to do some weird as fuck Apex Legends COD bullshit with this. And it's like, I that's the one thing I hope is not a thing. But a lot of that video was like, when they showed the gameplay, I was like, okay, it feels like they're pulling it in the right direction and stuff. So I'm pretty hopeful for it. And the thing is with this game is like, I was gonna wait until the game came out to be able to get somebody's like initial impression on it and stuff. I got a deal on Green Man Gaming for a huge amount, and I'm gonna be playing it day one. So,
I'm gonna wait till it goes on sale.
Can I just add something in real quick?
Yeah.
I really hope they stop making multiplayer games because they never look good. Like for this franchise.
That's actually what I was
absolutely
next.
never do. Yeah.
So Resident Evil Reverse is a team deathmatch multiplayer game, and it looks atrocious. It looks like it's a game on the Switch. Not to put the Switch down, but from the way that the quality of Switch games are, they're like really, really low grade in how they look. It has a comic booky look, but they don't really do it right. But they also try to do like this sort of hero aspect of it where like you play as either Leon or Chris or Claire, and then like you shoot it out, but then when Leon dies in that trailer, he turns into Nemesis.
Yeah, you get to come back as a zombie or something like that.
Yeah, like it's kind of weird on how they're gonna play out this game. Like I don't. The good thing about this game is that it's coming for free with Resident Evil Village.
They should just make this game free for everybody.
Oh yeah, good point. That's a great point. Just make it a free mode.
Yeah.
But I'm not paying it for that shit, man. Fuck that. Nah.
Otherwise, you're just gonna have no players on that.
Are we gonna be in the lobby for like 20 minutes talking about random shit trying to get in the game?
That was beta.
It wasn't 20 minutes. It was a half an hour.
I was trying to give him some leeway. Yeah. Fuck it. Anybody else? No, go ahead.
Well, there was more from the Resident Evil showcase. So they also finally announced their show on Netflix that's called Infinite Darkness, and it follows Leon and Claire.
Is it out now?
No, not yet.
No.
Okay.
I think it's coming out in the next couple months, I want to say.
Cool.
I thought I just heard 2021, but yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that is supposed to be following after the events of Resident Evil 2. After the police department scenario. I think maybe a few years after, 2 or 3 or something like that. But I'm really excited for that because the art style for it is pretty good too. Doesn't look like it's low grade. They're going in all in on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is another thing now, because they have been doing these remakes. One was like pretty much they just redid the same game and they gave it like modern graphics for the time. 2 and 3, they never technically called it remake in their title, but they're essentially remakes. And they redid the entire game of 2 and 3. 2 was really, really good. 3 was a letdown, disappointment. But what comes next? 4. So obviously everybody is like, well, where's Resident Evil 4 remake? Capcom has not officially announced this. But do you guys know a part of the reason why 3 was a letdown?
Because it got trimmed, right? A lot of the stuff that was essential to the original game got trimmed. Was that like one of the reasons that it was bad, right?
So there's a lot of Resident Evil 3 that's not there, or
Yeah.
like just kind of like cut around. And there's not really much of experience of 3. So M2 is the subsidiary company that Capcom owns as like a development team. And that was the prominent team that was on the Resident Evil 3 remake. it turns out that the M2's role is significantly reduced, and they're bringing Resident Evil 4 in-house, which says a lot. It says a lot because 4 is regarded as a highly fun, well-regarded game within the series. For me, not so much. I have my own gripes with 4, but
Controls.
Oh, you already know I got my
No.
issues. I got my issues
I'm
with
saying
4
that's
too.
my issues. Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
you have your own issues.
Yeah.
You have your own
I have
issues
plenty
of
of 'em.
controls.
I have my
my
issues. Mine's the sewer roaches.
mine was that it got boring at the end.
Oh wow.
It
What about you,
wasn't a
Sharpie?
It wasn't a Resident Evil game at the end.
Oh really?
Yeah.
The
4.
You loved 4, right?
I loved 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, 4 was a fun game for me. It's just like I wouldn't put it up there. So the reason why that 4 remake is being brought in-house is because M2 was essentially making the same exact game. The report was that they were pretty much making a Resident Evil 4 just better graphics. And they were doing everything that Resident Evil 4 already had. And so Capcom was like, well, we want to reinvent it. We kind of make it different in some way. And, not really remake it. You know how Final Fantasy VII Remake isn't exactly a remake? It's the fan theories and the evidence is there that it's more of a sequel sort of thing, but it's a reimagining of Final Fantasy VII with the same events playing out.
Yeah.
They want something similar with Resident Evil 4, and also what they've been doing with 2 and 3 is more of a reimagining, doing something a little bit different with it, but keeping the good charm of what Resident Evil 4 is. And that's what's being reported. So it looks like that of course we weren't going to get Resident Evil 4 remake in a while, but it seems like it's going to be taking a lot longer.
It's also a pretty big project.
Yeah. It's a really huge project, especially since the reception of 3.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So that's all the Resident Evil news I have. So as far as for the that Capcom in general, do you like where they're taking things? As far as because everybody has their own game, either Street Fighter or Monster Hunter or Resident Evil. The way that they're taking their company, do you like where they're going?
They got the comeback special right now. So
A second wave of comebacks.
Yeah. Because after 6, that shit was, nobody had faith in Capcom. But with the success of 7 and that momentum, and also Devil May Cry as well. And I'm happy where it's going. I'm glad it's going where it's going. It is a OG franchise, and we all grew up on it. So I'm glad to see it's being successful.
Yeah, my only problem with the Resident Evil franchise ever has been for the moving forward is make it feel scarier. To me, before it felt a little bit too actiony, and I think that's kind of with the updated visuals and it seems like it's a little bit more, it's a little bit darker. I feel like they're doing a good job at kind of making it feel more like a horror game. Like I said, I just hope they either get way better at doing multiplayer, or they just kind of scrap it for a while and rethink what they're doing with that aspect of it.
All right, cool. I guess that's this is the end of the podcast. If you're not already following here on YouTube, I almost said Twitch. If you're not already following here on YouTube, you can be sure to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. And then if you can listen to this on our audio only on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Stitcher and Google Podcast. Man, I almost screwed that up.
Anchor?
And Anchor, yeah. I mean, Anchor's our distributor, so to all those other places. Yeah. Anyways, that is it for this week. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, y'all. Peace.